Alright. What the hell is going on, everybody? We've got Twisted Minds Classic in the bottom right side of the map, playing against BYUN from Shopify Rebellion in the top left. It is the semi-finals of the Kung Fu Cup Week 2, and Classic is coming in as a very strong Protoss player, but BYUN has historically had his number. It's going to be curious to see what he can do to bring out, and also, not only is Classic going to, bring out an interesting strategy to try and defend, I do expect a fair bit of Stargate play from Classic. I think Phoenix Colossus is something he's a massive fan of opening. But for BYUN, are we countering with the 3 Command Center build that he's been using so much recently? BYUN has been loving 3 Command Center openings. And it's going to be interesting to see because Classic loves to turtle into just late game and turtle into that Sky Toss. Go for that Colossus, go for those Disruptors, and just get into a bunch of Carriers and or Tempests. I think that's a good style. I believe he adds Storm in the late game as well, which is such a big part of making that late game style actually viable. Of course, we saw him struggling against Maru in the, I think it was Season 1 GSL, where he was going for that setup, and Maru got him with a big turret push, the old slow siege up that just kind of entrenches so much static defense outside your base, you don't really have a chance to deal with it. I do think when you're playing against that, you do need to get Tempest out a little bit quicker, so you can actually pick at them from far away. I asked Hero Marine today how to beat Phoenix Colossus. He said, I don't know, I never beat Phoenix Colossus. So now I come to you, Pig. Yeah, asking pro gamers questions and expecting insightful responses is always going to be a little... Just remember, guys, they're always going to give you extremely one-sided responses based on what's happened in their games recently. Nah, that never works. Yeah, that always works. It's if they lost the last 2 or 3 games against something, no idea what to do. That thing beats me every time. They beat it 2 or 3 times? Yeah, that's not even a good build. I don't know why you're even asking that question. It's like Phoenix Colossus is so easy to beat. Just build stuff and attack. Like, what are you talking about? These are the educational answers people get from pro gamers. Remember, guys, every time you ask a pro gamer a question in their chat, do not expect an answer that's tailored to your skill level. You could copy exactly what Hero Marine does versus it. Just look at what he does in any game versus Phoenix Colossus off his stream, copy it, and I'm sure you'll beat everyone at your skill level, So you don't... A lot of people, they want to see someone win with something because they want, like, evidence that it works. And I've always told people the best thing you can do as a player is actually copy players that lose. I always copy B team players. I copy C team players. I copy the round of 16 eliminated guys, the round of 32 eliminated guys. Do you know why? Because I can't execute what Serral, Maru, and Hero do. I can't execute what MaxPax does. I'm a pretty high GM player on the NA ladder, guys. Don't get me wrong. Am I a pro gamer? Heck no. But I absolutely understand. I cannot understand because, or not execute. A lot of their builds are so difficult. But if I can find a build order where I go, oh, that's attainable. Technically, the best player in the world will usually beat that if they play perfectly. But that's actually a build that works well within my skill set. That's something I can do. I can follow that. I can pick that up and try and execute it. So I really feel like a lot of people, they go, no. I saw Hero Marine do this thing, but then he lost the game. Therefore, it's not good. And I'm like, what are you talking about, mate? Yeah, he's playing MaxPax or Showtime. Of course, MaxPax and Showtime beat him. It's MaxPax and Showtime. These games are based off, they're decided off the tiniest little differences in execution. But anyway, if we want to investigate that question more, we can do it after this game and talk more about how to defend Phoenix Colossus. Because for now, it's Blink into Colossus. So 3-gate Blink into Colossus before 3rd Nexus. Still going to get his 3rd Nexus up well before 5 minutes by the looks of it, but it is a 3-Rex and he spotted it. Classic scouting is so good, man. Gotta be careful though. You do not want to lose these units. Stim and Shields is coming. Dude, BYUN always does this quick double Marauder move out lately, where he gets a lot of Marines. 14 Marines, 2 Marauders. He hits well before 5 minutes. Now, you've got to pick off units with Stalkers, and that's what he's doing such a good job of. Unfortunately, he didn't quite sync up all of his shots, but you see here, the way he's doing that is excellent. This is so well done, man. Now, there is a Robobay coming up. The 3rd base got delayed, but Classic's going to now move out to it, realizing, look, if BYUN keeps committing, he's going to lose so many Marines and bleed them all off. So we've got an Immortal out, Colossus next, and then the 3rd Nexus will start up. And the 3rd Nexus is going to be delayed because BYUN's actually been doing this 3-Rex build a fair bit. So look, he's got the 3rd Command Center there before Factory, right? Or at least not long after the Factory. So he's delayed the starport to get up a quick 3rd Command Center on location. It's a greedy build. If he loses this Marine Marauder, the counterattack kills his 3rd and he's completely screwed. So that's why he's quite cautious. He shows a scary move out, demands respect from Classic, who he knows is a very good scouting and defensively safe player. And then he goes for the greedy third behind it. And I really like this way of playing for BYUN. Now, the downside is, of course, his tech sucks. We've already got a Colossus on the map. His starport hasn't even finished. Remember, he's got to build at least 4 medevacs before he starts Viking production. So there's definitely a lack of flexibility to this build that will cost him. Oh, I would have liked those Stalkers to blink up, but did mess up the blink on one of them. He's not going to... Don't blink up there now. Okay, good call. Shoots a Marine. But he baits his stim out. It does kind of get on out of there. Colossus is on the way as well. Third Nexus coming up. Now, no Forge just yet. He's going to go 6 gate before Forge. Classic could go for like a no upgrade push. It's pretty rare, but it definitely has some potential. It's just always scary having no upgrades at all. Oh, good stim starter step. Gets one of the Stalkers down. Classic's going to back away. Third Colossus is on the way, guys. Still no Forge. Oh me, oh my. Classic's only up 2 workers. His third Nexus is just finished. He's not probing right now. Looks like he's looking for a big ambush here. How good are force fields? Ooh, he's not even going to bother. Wow, just Guardian Shield and fighting. There we go. 2 force fields go down. The Colossus aren't shooting the Marines, but I think it's okay. The Immortal, the Colossus doing good damage. The Marauders getting some good damage out on the Immortal. They're not quite able to hit the Colossus, though. Dude, he just wrecked him. BYUN choosing to fight there was a little bit dangerous, and it gets punished big time. Damn, man. Wow, that's an excellent fight for Classic, who's now up 800 resources and the unit's lost. He now has a Forge coming up and 3 probes boarding at a time. Hanging on this side of the map, exceptionally dangerous with no Warp Prism, but he's got a pylon there. He's going to try and warp in a few Zealots. He's trying to just bait stims, pick off units, and get some freebies, but he doesn't want to get caught. Because if some SCVs flank him... I mean, if these Marauders all get in range of the Colossus, they can, like, 2-shot this Colossus, basically. Another SCV does go down. Classic. This is incredibly dangerous. I feel like he's got to go harder with the commitment, or he's got to take a 4th base. He's saying, nah, screw that, man. He's got a 4th Colossus on the way right now. I don't know where his 3rd one is. I got to be honest, guys. Okay, it's just down there to the bottom right. It's just rallied and chilled out. He's forgotten about it. Vikings coming forward. Stalking's going after the Vikings. Force fields are pretty good, but the Colossus will get jumped on. Here we go. Colossus trying to pull back right now. Widow Mines will blow up on a few of these Stalkers. Zealots coming in as well. The Colossus stutter step's pretty darn nice. The Immortal goes down, as does the Colossus. The other Colossus is just hanging out here. And this is what I was talking about. A little bit dangerous. However, this was worth it. Do you know why? Because there was 2 Zealots in that mineral line. 5 kills and 4 kills. He got 18 worker kills in total. And I think that's good enough. There is no 4th, though. That's the one thing that I don't like for Classic setup. You see, he's quite saturated. He's going 2nd Forge. And for me, I'm like, hey, where's that 4th? But he's got those 2 Colossus up. If he brought that extra Colossus in, that would have been kind of awesome. So definitely Classic pushing very greedily there. Throwing a lot of units away. It was an inefficient trade. Cost for cost, it was a very bad trade. But because he killed so many workers, I think there's an argument. It's good. I just think if the 4th was already up, he could build a few more probes now, swap to a more defensive style, be in a better position. As it is, probably overall a net slight gain for BYUN, especially with all of his Marauders and Marines now healing up with the medevacs. And the fact that he's only down 4 workers, similar supply, he's got those 4 medevacs we talked about, which means he can start non-stop Viking production. Still a little bit broke is BYUN. Needs a 2nd starport on that reactor if he can possibly get it. +1 armor, +2 attack on the way. We've got 7 gates up. 8th gateway is building. 4th Nexus is there. Lots of probes coming out. Ghosts are on the field as well. +1 armor. That finishing is often a natural timing attack for Terran because it just lines up with them having a decent Viking count and EMPs and a rather large army. In this game, though, I think it's all about defending and surviving. Classic does take a pretty bad first Widow Mine to the Zealots. A lot of damage going down. Might want to pull back and let those shields regen. Of course, EMP is probably going to have something to say about that either way. We all know about the power of the EMP against the Zealot. The Zealot. The Zealots. EMP is ready. The depot's to waste the charge. I like that depot placement. Almost loses a Viking, though, does BYUN. BYUN's just trying to hang on. He's down 10 army supply. Oh, good EMP, but he loses 2. Goes to the force fields. So the thing is, Classic can just chill now. He doesn't need to fight here. He's trying to really bait stims out of BYUN before he backs away. Oh, those sentries are a little far forward. EMP takes out the last of the energy. The Bio trying to spread, but they're kind of clumping up for the Colossus here, dude. The Colossus are doing so much damage. Oh my lord! He does save one of the Colossus into that Warp Prism on the right side. Only one Colossus went down. There's only one Viking left. This is a disaster for BYUN. A second Viking rallies down. Classic way ahead in the supply. He's fully transferred, so his fourth base is mining. He's going to get ready to take a fifth down there. BYUN's not even going to wait for it. BYUN just taps out. What the hell? I mean, fair enough. Look at his army. Look at the Protoss army. He's dead. He's got no medevac juice. His bio can't stem without putting themselves in the red. Classic wears him down, and that sort of dangerous pushing on the edge there was huge. And this all comes back to that first really good fight with the force fields over here, where Classic poked through the fog. What was that, like 6.5, 7 minutes? So this fight over here. This is it. Remember, he was already wounded, so he does a second stim. No medevacs with the army. It's a bad choice to fight here. But because Classic kind of baited him into it and stuff, good force fields, good usage, this was just such a good fight for Classic. Whereas if BYUN waited till he had 4 medevacs, came in maybe from 2 different sides to sandwich this army, obviously it's a different story. But that's the power of Classic, sensing that a 3-Rex build with such a fast third command center, such a late factory would be weak right at this timing. Great instincts by Classic. Alright. Classic with a nice game 1. Game 2. He's going to play no scout. That is Nexus into core, no scout, guys. I love this build, and it is so good at punishing a Terran who doesn't build a Reaper. And not only did he not build a Reaper, he built a command center before Marine because he wants to be safe against early adept pressure. This is actually such a good way of countering BYUN. BYUN's doing like a really kind of just, you know, blind, straight into quick factory opening. But what's the advantage? Because you can go second gas before second pylon with this build because your core's delayed, that doesn't delay you from building your first adept. Your Nexus is out faster, earlier probe production, earlier chronos, and the earlier second gas means you can go adept, warp gate, and still drop your Twilight Council about 15-20 seconds faster. Or if you cancel warp gate, you can start a Stargate right now. Very, very early. So this is the power of these sort of openings, guys. How often do we see people open Twilight at 235, 240? He got it at 214. Classic's opening, already making a second gateway unit as well. This is beautiful. And I'd love to see him chrono probes a little bit here as well. We'll see if he does. Looks like he's not going to chrono... Okay, there we go. Chronos probes on the natural straight away. And he builds a battery because he says, hey, I'm blind. I don't know what I'm up against. We'll make a shield battery along with a second adept. Probably make a stalker and then a link as well. Though actually, to be fair, a lot of players will only make... they'll make Twilight blink. They'll delay the third gateway unit. Is the classic way we used to use it. Well, probably shouldn't call the original way that we used to do things. Adepts coming in. I wouldn't mind a chancel, as I call it, a shade cancel. And he does get the SCV kill, gets out of there. Nicely done, dude. Really nicely done. So there is a Stalker coming out straight away. Okay, so Classic's playing very safe. Second gate, and then Robo should be coming down here on the natural momentarily as he gets the money. I like the Adept coming forward. This allows you to intercept the Hellion, get a few hits on it ahead of time. And very, very nice play there. Look at that. Complete shutdown. No scouting information. And just kind of gets that shut down. Classic's opening is brilliant. Meanwhile, we've got a Cyclone Medevac Marine opening. I think he might think he's playing against Stargate, but it's in fact, as we can see, guys, 3 gates into the Robo. And we're already up 10 workers, dude. Classic's opening is brilliant. Starts. I was about to say he's about to get supply blocked, though. But no, he won't actually be supply blocked at all. He'll start 2 more probes, and they'll finish only after that pylon is ready. Now, Adepts do come out. Adepts coming out, getting lost mining time on a Terran who's already way behind on the mining. This is massive amounts of damage. He sees the Cyclone as well. He goes after the SCVs, doesn't quite get it. Gets himself a Marine, though, and shades both Adepts out of there. That is brilliant. 5 Marines and a Widow Mine on the other side. There's only 2 Stalkers to defend. This is his chance to get damage. BYUN is desperate. Classics all over this opening. He took a risk in the early game, but you have to take risks in the early game. Terrans are always mixing in these no Scout, no Reaper openings. So doing this sort of risky opening, I think, is really good. And so far, he has not been punished. That Medevac is getting pushed out. I do like the Widow Mine micro, though. He's just refusing to let that Widow Mine fire. Finally gets himself his first probe kill. We've got units rallying to the front right now. Oh my god, that Widow Mine. Okay, the Medevac does go down. He's happy to trade a Stalker there, but actually his Blink is ready already. Look how fast his Blink is at 430. And the Adepts survive. Wow. Classic. Dude, this is the power of these Twilight, these Nexus before core openings. What a good opening. This is brilliant. You know, I always felt like this opening was better, and I felt like a bit of a dummy until I heard Harston talking about just how much better it is, and I was like, an actual good Protoss player agrees with me. Unfortunately, he's forgot to probe right now, his Classic. Classic is only at 41 workers, And he's a little supply blocked as he finally starts to resume probing. So he is slowed down quite a fair bit. That Liberator, luckily for BYUN, slides past just before the Stalkers arrive. Now we've got BYUN here trying to build tanks, trying to build a third command center. He does not have a second barracks right now. He's so vulnerable. Dude, he's so vulnerable. Liberator flies in. Classic sees it. Classic definitely sees it. Assuming he warps in some Stalkers at home, he should be good. Where are those Stalker warp-ins? There we go. Stalker warps in now. He's going to blink into that main base. He could go for the starport or the tech lab. He's just going to go for the tech lab, the easy target to start with. Blink's going to be ready in a second. Get the depot as well as another nice, easy target. And that's a really good way of doing it. Oh, those barracks. Building in vision. Wow, that's a bit sloppy. Does lose an SCV building it. Losing a few more SCVs as well. You don't want to take too much damage on these Stalkers. Oh, he's going to blink in. Oh, Classic getting a bit of a stiffy. This one's going to cost him. He does take out a Cyclone, but that tank is getting big shots off. Man, these Stalkers, they get 5 SCVs, but I think it was better when he was just getting damage for free. Does get a few more Marines, though, potentially on the way out. He's got to get out of here. Oh, the double tank. Oh, my God. He finally blinks out. Okay, so that was 5 Stalkers, gets a Cyclone, 6 SCVs, a bunch of Marines. I mean, he got like a building barracks cancelled, tech lab. I still think that's a good trade for Classic. He's got Colossus on the way. He's rallying out to the 3rd now. And, yeah, he's got Charge on the way. He's going to go up to 5 gateways, maybe 6 gateways after that as well. Observers are still seeing what's going on. It feels like BYUN is definitely on the back foot with his 2nd and 3rd barracks so delayed. Only now is he going to get tech labs into upgrades. So BYUN's kind of forced to turtle. I actually think with the information you have as Classic, you should definitely drop a 4th base and non-stop probe here. Like, there's no reason not to go 75 probes. And he's not probing right now, right? He's stopping at 57, which is awkward. Even then, he only queues up 2 probes. 3rd one finally queues up. Forge is on the way. There's no stim for such a long time. That Classic, I feel like he's playing just a little too standard right now. I want to see that probe move out. Like, why are we building a shield battery against a guy who just started stim? I'm going to be critical there. I think he could be getting miles ahead, but Classic is on autopilot, and he doesn't seem to have processed the information of the fact that this guy doesn't have stim started. BYUN's tech is so far behind from committing to that aggression. Now, these Stalkers, they could blink in and actually do really big damage, but as this tank siege is there, that gives a bit of insurance. I still think a few SCVs and these depot builders would be good snipes, but I think he's a little worried about the Marines and the tanks jumping on him, and fair enough. I think he's going to wait for the move out, and then when the move out happens is when he'll backstab. 4th Nexus is finally on the way here at about 7.5 minutes. Classic's playing a good game. I just think he could have stretched his advantage here quite a lot. I still think he's ahead, but we'll see how it travels, as BYUN will have time to catch up. When Terran's behind on stim and shields, the big thing they lose is the ability to move out or attack a Protoss. And taking advantage of that window where Terran can't be aggressive is kind of the reason why Terran should fall way behind when their tech is late and their stim is late. Because that wasn't the case, we just look at the numbers on a more standard footing and we go, well, worker count difference, pretty standard. Double upgrades are a little ahead for Terran, as the 2nd Forge has just started for Classic. So BYUN's a little ahead on the upgrades. He's completely fine with the worker position, only being down a few workers. He's building tanks, which is peculiar. That is interesting. And he's making... What are we looking at right now, guys? Well, guys, why does he have... Is BYUN drunk? He's got double armor. He's making vehicle plating and vehicle weapons. Is BYUN drunk? What am I looking at, guys? Is this an actual style? I sense TY's influence upon this build. So bizarre. Here comes Classic. Sentry, Stalker, Colossus not going to do well versus Mass Tank. Unsieging the Observer is the way to do it. Ah, the Marines managed to get it, though. Good snipe for BYUN. Zealot drop comes in on that right side. Yeah, guys, going double armory upgrades for your siege tanks here is crazy. Tanks are already such an immobile unit that basically I think BYUN is preparing to build Thors versus Skytoss. So I think I'm putting it together. Basically, BYUN's saying, look, I have to turtle for so long. He's probably going to make it to like 5-base Skytoss, and I need to be able to build 3/3 Thors. So because I'm not going to be able to punish you, normally I'd try to kill you before you get there. But because I'm kind of a bit behind in this game, I don't feel like I got a good push timing, I'm actually just going to make amazing upgrades. This also will give you really good Viking upgrades as well, because the plating applies to ground and air for the mech. And I think his whole goal is like, yeah, if I just build up to the mega late game, I can actually be super prepared for that stage and I can potentially beat you there. Now, of course, we see Classic's not gone to that super late game just yet. He's going to move into that right side, is he? Oh man, I think he could have shoved in there with his Zealot Stalker. It's a bit dangerous. but not going to take the risk. Looks like the Prism did get shot down in the back. Prism and 4 Zealots going down. Classic still only on 69 workers. He's building a few more now. He's only on 4 gases. His ship weapons does start, so he's thinking about that Stargate transition as he pumps disruptors 2 at a time. New Warp Prism being built as well. And BYUN is playing an incredibly turtley style. We've got to keep our eyes on what this double armory does. Like, honestly... Oh, he jumps on it! Oh my god, force fields! He force fields the Marauders at the front! Disruptor shots take out one of those siege tanks as well. There's still a Disruptor ready to fire on the right side. He's trying to do as much damage as he can, but the Vikings are killing the Colossus right now, and that is very problematic. The Colossus are getting wrecked. The Command Center does survive, as does a lot of the Bio Army. Units Lost tab says 500 resource lost advantage for the Terran. And that was a good push because these tanks in the back weren't helping. That's what it seemed like, but I think because the Vikings didn't get focused by the Stalkers, that was probably Classic's main bit of miss micro, which cost him there. +2 armors on the way on the ground for Classic as well. Classic, I really don't think attacking head-on is the way to fight here, right? I feel like you want to be catching him out with Mass Prism Zealot in the back if you want to play ground, or you want to be going to Tempest. And this is an amazing map for Tempest Storm because it's so front-on. Not a lot of ways the Terran can out-position you when you're playing that style. Gravitic Drive has been finished. You can see that is a Speed Prism. Is that what it's called, by the way? Gravitic Drive, guys? And what's the Observer Speed called, then? Because is that also Gravitic something? Oh, no. Ow, 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 ow. Prism goes into a turret and 2 Vikings. That doesn't work out. Big push on the left side. Siege tank will get blinked on. There's more tanks covering it from the right, though. Disruptors do go forward, take out a single Marine and Marauder. As long as those Stalkers get rid of those Vikings, it's a pretty good move for Classic. Gets himself a little bit of damage, and the Stargate transition is finally underway. Now, Classic never did this off a giant worker count, remember, guys? So he doesn't have a lot of gas. He's only taken a 5th gas, which to me seems very peculiar. I really thought, like, hey, if we're going Sky Toss, we're going to make 4 gases at once or something like that. But Classic is like, no, 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 no. I'm still heavy on the Zealots for now. I'm still looking to trade with you. I'm only down a few hundred resources in the units lost. I'm not in that bad of a spot. 3-3's on the way for BYUN. BYUN is going through more breaks. Generally speaking, you'd think Classic would be one of the best in this late game scenario. I wouldn't think BYUN really is the best at dealing with it. The problem is that Classic just seems reticent to actually go to that Sky Toss army. It seems like he wants to win on Gateway Disruptor. He's got 8 Disruptors, 2 Colossus. There's only a few tanks covering this angle. Stalkers blink in and take out a few of those Vikings. Disruptor shots go forward, takes out, quite a few of his own Zealots by the looks of it. Those Disruptor shots not really landing. A lot of his Disruptors have gone down, guys. He lost 5 Disruptors, all of his Zealots. His army just got wrecked. Attacking into an entrenched siege tank position is always dicey at the best of times. And Classic found out that was not just dicey, that was terrible for him as he loses most of his army. That Warp Prism getting left out there as well. It's going to go down on that left side. The Zealot run by is nice, though. That will find some damage. A few Ghosts going down, SCVs as well. The Prism's going to fly in. I do like the Zealot drop on top of that siege tank. That is very cute micro there, getting himself 8 SCVs and some damage, but definitely overall a massive victory for BYUN, who trades now 3,000 resources more efficient. The Warp Prism probably should be recalling itself, as you know there's going to be new Vikings on the way. And 2 carriers starting behind this. +2 air weapons is essential, but remember that gas shortage we were talking about? Well, to be fair, his mineral and gas seem to be pretty well lined up. Blinks forward, does lose 3 Stalkers for a siege tank. Planetary with tanks behind it, not something you want to fight. Nah. Zealot warping in the back, that's all completely shut down. Classic still playing as if he has the bigger economy. I don't know if Classic realizes that he's actually, like, yeah, he's up a few workers, but he's traded so much worse recently that he's definitely not the one in the swarmy position. He's playing like he's got the big mobility advantage. He's got the big scary army that could pounce. And it's good because he's setting up nice disruptor shots, but all things considered, it feels pretty worrying. First few carriers are out, +2 air weapons is on the way. He doesn't have enough money to build more carriers. Now he's probing up. This is what I'm talking about, is he kind of committed so hard to this like low-tier Zealot Stalker army on 69 workers, and he's only gone up in probes and dribs and drabs, and now he says, okay, let's go air. But he's choosing that only after throwing his entire army away. And he's realized, well, I don't have enough money to go air and rebuild my ground army. So he's gone up to 90 workers. Now, 90 workers I would have loved 3 or 4 minutes ago, but 90 workers now is very dangerous, because you're going to hit max out, and you're going to have a smaller army than your opponent, and these workers aren't going to have a lot of time to really build value before a potential counter push comes from BYUN. That's always the scary thing, and this is something which people struggle to wrap their head around. They go, more workers, you know, oh, why would I build workers? I need army. It's a war game, right? That's the initial kind of like 6-year-old's thought. And then you go, no, no, no. Workers give you money. They allow you to build army, you know, and they go, okay. So more workers is always better. And then you're like, well, no, if you're about to have a big game-defining battle, you don't want to be building workers in the minutes leading up to that. You want to be building army. And you're like, okay, we're starting to understand it can be hard to gauge when to build what in StarCraft. There is a fair bit of strategy involved in that. Yes, there is. But for Classic now, he finds himself kind of forced into a more defensive stance. And I do love the second Cyber Core. He's going to go double air upgrades. What I'd like to see here is still Psystorm. I definitely think without Psystorm, this army is massively lacking. For someone who's so Skytoss oriented in the matchup, to not be adding Storm here is a ridiculously huge oversight. And I really feel after watching that BYUN Nightmare series from the other day, everybody should realize how good Storm can be. The fact that BYUN knew Storm was out, he had 1 billion ghosts, and he still just ended up losing to like 27 High Templar coming from different angles steadily. I mean, that was just an example of why Storm can be useful. And I mean, that was a style which I don't even think is good. I just think Nightmare outplayed BYUN because he literally was playing nothing but Storm Zealot Archon. I think Storm should be used more of as a supporting act. He used it more of the main show. Double Prism tries to fly in. That one goes down. Zealots on the front as well. Ooh, a couple Zealots do get picked up. High-sec auto tracking is done. These turrets have 8 range, guys. Very, very good anti-air units. BYUN's trying to counterattack now. Okay, so here's the thing. The Vikings need to get focused down by the Stalkers and the Carriers. There's not enough Vikings to beat the Stalker Carrier yet. Oh, was that Mama? Oh my god, Mama just tried to fly in and do a recall, but she got shot down by the missile turrets. Guys, why would that even work? Even if he recalled in there, I don't think his army beats BYUN's army, does it? I guess there's not that many Vikings yet? I don't know. I don't know, man. I really am wondering where that Psystorm is and where the Tempests are. I feel like Tempests are going to be necessary eventually. Not yet. They will be when there's more tank lib out, potentially, though. He's going to attack in here. Classic just playing like an absolute psycho, going with the disruptor shots forward. Oh, he lands some big balls on the army, though. But he's out. If he had one more ball on this bio, that'd be so good. The interceptor count's a little bit low right now. The stalker count's very low as well. Big Zealot Warp in might be able to turn things, though. If he can blink. Oh, he just doesn't have many stalkers to take down these Vikings. So much more bio just reinforced. So much bio just came in. A massive disruptor shot lands. The second one whiffs, though. He's got one last shot in there. That one whiffs as well. Oh, he finally gets another big shot off, dude. BYUN's splits have not been on point today, but the Carriers are going to go down to the Vikings. Stalkers warping in. Now they're fighting against pure bio on their own. Classic here getting pushed back, and BYUN turtling to the later stages and showing he knows how to take care of this. He does have 1-2 upgrades on his Vikings, by the way, against just +2 air weapons for the Protoss. So he did actually have pretty damn good air upgrades, and that early +2 ship plating, or vehicle and ship plating, I should say, was actually a very valuable investment. Zealots coming in, Liberators there. Planetary Fortress on this base as well. These Prisms have done nothing in this game. Feels like Classic's been trying to get in with the Prisms over and over, and BYUN has just put extra resources to making sure that does not cause him problems. Fantastic defense of the drops, and that's gotten him thousands upon thousands of resources worth of value in this game. It's a 2-to-1 trading at the end of the day, and that tells you that Protoss has been severely outplayed despite getting to the stage of the game they wanted to be at. BYUN, early on, chose to just camp at home. He chose, I will not be able to get out on this map, not with the way this game started. I need to turtle. I need to beat you in the late game. And he did just that. All right, Classic's now in the bottom left side of Alcyon, BYUN in the top right. Good feedback from chat saying I was probably focusing a little bit too hard on what Classic was doing in that game and not BYUN. BYUN was kind of stuck just defending, to be fair. So there's not much you can do as a Terran in that scenario except just defend and wait and slowly try to survive while you're building tanks, Vikings, Bio, Ghosts, and just building command centers and stuff. So it really did feel like from that early game, you know, the ball was in Classic's court. And I do think Classic made a few small mistakes. We also had a little bit of a vote, by the way, for those watching live. And I said, you know, hold on a second. Ooh, he cancels at the very last second. Great reaction here by Classic. Players have gotten so good at scouting for this eBay block. So good. So Classic shuts that down, and it's always really good for the Protoss player if they can find that. Now, this is not a gas first build. Normally, you'd expect gas first in a quick factory, but this is actually just going to be a 1-Rex expand. So this is kind of the... I guess this used to be very popular. I just haven't seen it as much recently. Recently, it's been engineering bay block with a really quick factory and fast Hellions or Cyclones all the time. We had a bit of a vote about whether the double armory was on purpose or not, because I kind of had a thought after that game. I was like, I don't think the double armory was on purpose. He didn't keep upgrading all game. He kind of just used it a little bit, said, oh, I guess I'll get +1 vehicle weapons. Oh, I guess I'll get ship weapons. You know, he kind of did that. Oh, he lets the probe in. Okay, he does turn around. But yeah, most of Twitch chat and myself both think it was actually a mistake. Like, BYUN forgot he put the armory down because he built one in his main, then he built another one in his natural a few seconds after, like maybe 10, 20 seconds after. And I think it was just he forgot he put the first one down. And then he realized after and said, oh, might as well make the most of it. And it wasn't bad because he was playing such a turtley style. And, you know, he did get some nice upgrades, like +2 vehicle plating on the Vikings, +1 ship weapons really helps against the carriers and the stalkers. So that's not too bad of a way to start. Adept does cancel its shade, as it's going to have to escort these units down. A bit more of a standard opening this time, of course, for Classic. But having the Adept out, ready to block the Reaper, good probe production. And, oh, he does shade to the low ground. This is very risky to go in here. BYUN should jump out that northern path if he wants to ensure he escapes. And, indeed, he does. Good choice to back away for him. Double Marine production, a single Hellion to start. Oh my gosh, he loses the Reaper, a bit too greedy. A little bit too greedy hanging around so close to the Protoss base, and a great interception there for Classic, who's shading 2 Adepts across the map. The Hellion's going to go around the left side of the map, where it will find itself running into a base that doesn't have any defense. Stalker is building, but it looks like it'll only pop out just a few seconds after that Hellion arrives. And Adept on the front line is going to land a hit or two on these Marines. Nice micro for Classic. Ooh, Hellion's not going to block the third. Yes, it is. He says, hey, no, you naughty probe. I will take that kill. Meanwhile, Adepts are fighting Marines on the other side. Pretty good micro from Classic. Oh, split fire as well. Very good split fire. Not a Spitfire, but split fire, guys. And he takes out the other Marine as well. This is massive damage. Hellion managed to kill that one probe. Oh, God. Classic, where's the Stalker, mate? Oh, he's going to watch out for the stack up. Oh, gosh, this could be really big. It looked like he was crushing on the other side, and he was with his Adepts, to be fair. But that Hellion, oh, barely goes down. Okay, so the Hellion kills 4 probes. The Adepts killed a bunch of Marines and SCVs and mining time. I think that's actually Protoss favored. Let's look at the units. The units lost tab is definitely Protoss favored. And I think 4 probes sucks, but like he did good damage. So BYUN is kind of desperate to cause a bit more chaos. I mean, that's a 3 Marine Widow Mine drop. That's not very scary. I feel like these Stalkers could shut that down pretty hard. Classic looking for the third base out at the front right now. Observers on the way. Cloaked Banshee coming in behind it. BYUN's been spamming Cloaked Banshees lately, hasn't he, guys? I feel like a lot of the Terrans have really been doing a huge amount of Cloaked Banshee play against Protoss lately. Hiding in the trees. Oh! I thought he was going to go in for a second. I was like, man, you are a crazy guy. And BYUN is known for his Cavalier drops. His, I'm going to just dive right past your Stalkers and hope you don't see it. I always feel like it's frustrating as a Protoss player when you play against someone who plays like this, because if a Terran player is just a bit more conservative, it's like you can kind of count on what he's going to do a little bit more. But BYUN will push into some genuinely ridiculous positions. And don't get me wrong, that comes with a downside. Sometimes you lose games, you throw games away by attacking into a bad spot, but it's kind of the same superpower that Hero has, where like you never know when Hero is going to hit you or not, when he's going to go 100%, whereas like a guy like Stats, you're like, or Classic even, you're like, well, you're not going to attack here because that would make no sense, right? And then you look at Hero, you're like, he could attack at any moment. Logic does not play any part in this decision making. You know, like there's something about a guy who just might attack you at any moment that actually forces you to be on your toes. Clem as well, right? Clem always forces players to be on their toes because he attacks. Literally said in that interview, I think part of the power of Terran to be a really top tier Terran is you need to attack when people think you won't attack. And I'm like, yeah, fair enough, man. You're not wrong. Supply drop goes down. A few more depots building would be nice. He's trying to squeeze 5 racks in before building another depot. Mate, you're about to get supply blocked again. Third command center is ages away. He definitely needs to build more depots. This is a super greedy play here from BYUN. Now, BYUN's pushing forward with a lot of Marine tank and a medevac. The Adept on the watchtower is going to shade forward a little bit. The Banshees in the bottom are coming down. And these observers are both in the middle of the map. These Banshees are going to be killer, man. Because this is a distraction in the middle of the map. The tanks are bugging out a little bit. Oh, I can't fit. They haven't been doing their Weight Watchers, man. And look at that. How are you going to notice this? What are the chances of you looking here right now? Oh, God. These Banshees are going to do so much. Those observers are nowhere nearby. He can quickly snap recall. How quick is he to find where those observers are, though? Oh, no. He's not even bringing his observers back, guys. He's trying... Where's his observers? I think he F2'd, but I don't think he's got an observer here. Where are they? Oh, he recalled one. He did recall one, but he recalled it to the main, not the natural. 17 workers. 17 workers. Honestly, just go home. Don't even hold this position, BYUN. We just need to make sure we don't lose this army. We've got a third base floating out. We've got 5 racks up. Dude, he is all over it. Ghost Academy's on the way as well. Classic is in D-Town. Now, to be fair, I would like to see him chronoing probes a little bit more. I'm surprised he's not chronoing probes. This is one of those things, man. I feel like Stats is so much better at this than every other product. The moment he takes damage, all 3 Nexi are chrono boosted. Him and Estrella. All 3 Nexi will be chrono boosted. The rally points will be reset. The gas is resaturated. You know, like he's back on point. Classic is like, nah, screw this. I'm just going to sit on 52 workers. Now I'm going to occasionally build a few probes. Oh, this feels really awkward. His gas income especially is so low. Maybe he's worried about the big follow-up push, but there's a third base up. Does he not see the third? He doesn't know about the third. I think he might think there's a 2-base push coming. Now, to be fair, if BYUN pushes into him and he's got a massive army, maybe Classic can just cleanse the army and win the game that way. He's got a Warp Prism, but he's only got 2 Colossus. If you could catch that those Banshees, that'd be nice. Banshees are going to swing in from behind. Looks like they're going to fly to his third base, realizing, hey, you're probably guarding the main and the natural. That third base is going to be wide open. BYUN looking slick right now. Classic is all in on 54 probes, and not even 54 probes. It's going to be a lot lower than that soon enough. Does get out position, but the Colossus are far behind. This should give time for BYUN to get his tanks back in spot, get his guys in the bunker, all that sort of stuff. Tanks are sieging up in a good position. He can pull the SCVs if he needs as well. This is looking like a really good position to be in for BYUN. But wait, oh, Classic gets into his natural. The ghosts do come out. They land some EMPs, but he's got to be careful. These force fields are actually killer. Dude, I can't believe these force fields are actually keeping BYUN out of his own base right now. He's going to lose every worker. Classic going to kill all the workers and recall, perhaps? That's a brilliant move. I can't believe that's working. I thought there's no way just running your army around the side of the map will work, but BYUN relied so much on that watchtower dominating that side. It's time to leave, though. Yeah, it's definitely time to leave. Prism does save a few more zealots there. Loses a Colossus. Units lost tab. Actually back close to even. The problem is the worker count is still only 3 workers up for Protoss. So Classic kind of needs to build a 4th Nexus, probe art, add more upgrades. And BYUN, I mean, he can reprobe and build a 4th of his own. So all this does is it gets the economy to a more feasible position, I would say, for Classic. It doesn't get him a lead by any means. Not at all. Especially not with only 1 Colossus on the map. Vikings building. Going up to 8 barracks is BYUN. Wait, 8 barracks? Wow, how much money does he have? And a 4th command center. He is cutting a lot of bioproduction right now, guys. So this is a very odd choice. To go 8 barracks here and not build any Marine Marauder, which is the cost for that, is kind of crazy. So BYUN's basically just saying, I'm going to play a much longer game. 2nd starport, 8 barracks. I'm surprised he's not going 2nd Engineering Bay Armory, because normally you would opt for that before going for 8 barracks, because everything else kind of tends towards you playing a longer game, except for that. The lack of upgrades is more of a sign of I want to do a big attack. Interesting choices. He's only against single forge, so he's not going to get out upgraded by Classic too hard. The building turret on the left side does go down. A few Marauders will clean that up. Prism's going to get out of here. BYUN did not micro his Vikings after that. Looks like he scanned down here. I'm not sure if he killed an observer or not. Going to try and build new turrets. The Vikings will chase after that Prism, but that Prism is away scot-free. 2nd Robo, 2nd Forge is on the way, and Classic says, you know what? You're turtling. I'm going to learn my lesson from that last game. I'm just going to build a 5th base and hold the probe key down. Like, if you're just going to camp, which seems to be your go-to, I will also build up to the late game. 2nd eBay Armory does now go down for BYUN. BYUN turtling up very hard. Classic. Do we see triple Robo, or do we see an earlier Skytoss transition this game? I do wonder, as this goes on, if that's the case. He stopped probing on just 67 workers again. I feel like Classic is stopping at such a low worker count here. 67 workers, guys. I always thought 72, 75 is kind of okay. 67 just seems a little bit low for a player who's playing 5 base against the Terran that is turtling to the late game. And I mean, Classic's putting himself in a position where he may have to go kind of all in. But that doesn't really sync up with double Forge upgrades, triple Disruptor, 5 bases, and a Dark Shrine. He cancelled his Dark Shrine. Okay, he doesn't... I was going to say, there's no way he has money to make Blink DTs. So it looks like he's decided, now, triple Robo, Gateway, it's like Hearthstone style. Zealot, Stalker, Disruptor, mass Zealot run-bys, Prism on the right side. If he can get a Prism in that back side, that'd be good. But look at these turrets. Even if you skip by the right, there are more turrets behind it. Great Prism defense. BYUN's realized Classic is like he's the Prism king. Tanks in the open, though. Oh, losing those tanks is rough. This is bad for BYUN. Those tanks were such an important part of his anchoring of his position. Watch out for the disruptor shots from the left, though. And it does lose just one Marauder, not too bad. Prism only gets a single Zealot inside. That Marauder and the Ghost will be able to take it out. At the same time, Zealot's coming in the right side. Oh, all of his tanks are gone. So good usage with the movement by Classic to kill all of the tanks, which means it is just like a Bio Viking style. I do think Fusion Core and Lib Range is the one thing that BYUN's missing right now. Losing a few SCVs he really doesn't care about, because look at the worker count of Classic. It was never that high. So he's like, oh, I'm down 5 workers, but also I'm on more command centers. Not a big deal. The thing he's missing as well is, of course, extra orbitals to kind of build up his long-term mule and scan capabilities. Triple Immortal building for Classic. Classic is way oversaturated on his natural. Should see those workers transfer out as he starts to take a lot more gas. It really is interesting. It feels like Classic is constantly on this giant army, and if he does catch BYUN moving on the map with one good fight, I think he kills him. But if BYUN turtles really well like the last game, I think BYUN can hang in here, drag it out to the later stages, gets a bunch of Stalkers with the EMP and the Stim, dodges the Disruptor shots. Losing the tanks is a real bummer. If you have 2 tanks here, it's very hard for those Disruptors to poke in and poke out. But losing those does weaken him, which is why Fusion Core is on the way now. He needs Lib Range to kind of replace that Siege capability. Going up to 6 Immortals, man. Now, the Mass Immortal style is interesting. I always like about 4 or 5 Immortals in the army. Any more than that, they do get kind of stuck behind each other. And it's rare that they all get to fight at the same time. But they're not a bad, meaty, very tanky unit to just have mixed into your ball. Stalker's going to blink forward. Vikings, a lot of Vikings going down. I don't know if the Vikings standing and fighting is a good idea. All the Vikings go down for one Colossus. That was not worth it for BYUN. On the right side, Zealots are there. He's got to be careful with these Zealots. They might have to get away before all those units do catch them. And it looks like that Disruptor, only 3 kills, so it didn't have a crazy effective shot. Lots of Zealots from the bottom and the army coming in from the north as well. There's only 2 medevacs here. This may be an overextension for BYUN, getting caught out on the map by the Mass Zealot Stalker. He's got the other army coming in from the left, but they're coming in so far behind. I think this is a big mistake. He's got to pull back, does BYUN. And wisely, BYUN pulls away the rest of the army. I keep saying that, but he keeps thinking about fighting here, and that's a very dangerous move. He keeps doing it. He gets himself a Disruptor. He wants that Observer. He does get the Observer. A few EMPs landing. Picking off a few of these units. BYUN desperately needs more army, though. He doesn't have any libs or anything like that. He has no anchor to this. He's way outnumbered right now. He's trying to kite the Zealots. He's trying to use his micro as best he can, but all of his Ghosts are gone. Remember, Ghosts do not have Stim. They cannot stutter step nearly as well as the Bio can, as they are a bit slower than Stim Bio. Command Center in the top left going down on the 5th base. Classic is right now on his 6th base as well. He's got 3-2 up against 2-2 upgrade. So he's got the slight upgrade lead, but of course EMP kind of puts paid to that when it is just a straight up fight. 7 Immortals out, 6 Disruptors with 3 more Disruptors. It is a mass rowboat style. Only 1 Colossus left in there, but with no Vikings left over, that's going to be A-okay. Zealot, Stalker, Colossus, Disruptor coming in. Watch out for the balls. The balls are going to go after those repairing SCVs. Takes out quite a few of those repairing SCVs, and the base does go down. BYUN's coming in from the right side, but BYUN's map control has been lacking. He keeps letting Classic out position him and get between him and his bases. Classic's going to stumble upon another base to the north. He does recall down to that bottom right side. He realizes now, oh wait, there's a planetary here, and honestly, that's going to go down. It was already heavily damaged. Oh, a bunch of Disruptors land on BYUN's army. That recall. I thought BYUN would back away from the recall, but he doesn't. Look at these Disruptors fire. Bam, 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 bam. He clicks down 1, he clicks down 2, he clicks down 3, but the 4th one lands. The Zealots from the left, the Immortals from the right. And Classic there with a killer army. Getting rid of those tanks earlier was actually massive. I kid you not, guys. Getting rid of those was huge. Because we got to see in this game a massive 2-1 victory, and it comes off of the fact that BYUN had no range advantage. And I've always said that you can kind of beat any Protoss army with just Biomine, you know, especially if you had some Vikings for Colossus and stuff like that, Biomine medevac. But it kind of depends on the positioning. And the problem that happens here is if they've got Disruptors and Colossus have 9 range, Disruptors have effectively 13 range, your longest range unit is the Viking with 9, but it only shoots against the Colossus. So if we remove that from the equation, your longest range unit is the Marauder and the Ghost. Both have 6 range, Disruptor 13 range, right? So the Protoss always kind of has the ability to do more range damage than you and pick away at you. You kind of have to force the fight to happen, and that can force you into the splash damage. It can force you to attack into the Guardian Shield and to really take some big losses. And I do think that BYUN's big mistake here, if we can say there was a big mistake in quotation marks, there's 2. Number 1, losing that army down on that right side was definitely a problem. at about, about a minute from now. I think he should not have lost that army down there. He needed to be a bit more careful. The second one is, whilst his upgrades were a little late, but I really think it's the delay on the range lib upgrade and liberators coming in, because that's really what he needed against this force to give him his own long-ranged firepower. Because if the Stalkers have to blink in to try to kill the libs, that's where Marauders, Marines, EMPs just absolutely obliterate them. But he was still trying to build up all of his extra command centers so that he could get up to like mass mules and stuff. And Classic, it seems like, was just a little bit ahead on the momentum in this game. And even though Classic didn't build a high worker count, he decided to get value through having a bigger army forward on the map. So as much as I was like, man, I do feel he sat on 66, 67 workers for a bit long. He eventually went up to 76. But the way he positioned forward, the way he threatened, and remember, look at how paranoid BYUN is about warp prisms. You can see the meta between these two players. So the last thing I want to point out before we finish the video is BYUN spent 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800 minerals on these missile turrets to stop the drops coming in. Not counting the missile turret in the mineral line. He's spending, that could have been 2 more command centers. Because Classic is so constantly trying to get warp prisms in, he's kind of made BYUN almost overly paranoid about it, to the point where BYUN is building so much defense. I do think it would be better if BYUN just leaves a Viking on patrol or something like that, and only has 1 or 2 turrets, but until he has a bit more of a setup. But it feels like, yes, Classic threw away tons of units in Game 2 in the warp prisms, but you can see that, okay, cool, Game 3, he doesn't lean into the prism harass as much. He only loses 1 prism and a few zealots this time, but he still forces BYUN to be incredibly paranoid, turtled up, and to put a ton of money into static defense. And this time he just goes for a more traditional multi-pronged ground approach. It's also a much better map for these ground attacks than, what's it called? The last map, Crimson Court. Crimson Court, it's like so one-directional and you can never really catch the tanks out of position. On this map, he kept catching BYUN out of position time and again. And BYUN really needed to be like supporting the planetary fortresses, getting his libs out, and he might have been able to hang on. Hats off to Classic though. A fantastic win in the semi-final, and he goes to the finals of the tournament.